Hi guys, you're welcome back and thanks so much for being here. Why won't France leave Africa alone? Why won't the West leave Africa alone? You see, the collaboration of France and the United States is just to destroy Africa. Why I began by asking this question is what is going on in the Sahel region. What is going on in the Sahel region? You know, Ibrahim Traore, the current president of Burkina Faso, is under attack from the Western media. He's under attack from the Western media. And the reason being that the Western media are calling him dictator. Some they are even asking themselves, is he a dictator or a savior? Of course, we all know that Ibrahim Traore is a savior. It's a savior. So the thing is, why is he under attack from the Western media like France 24 and RFE, Radio France Internationale? Why is he under attack? You know, sometimes when this guy, after the coup d'etat, when this guy took power, the Western media, they have been calling for election, instigating elections to come in, to take place. But you know, all those things, Ibrahim Traore cancel it out because that is the same conspiracy theory that normally the Westerners, they normally use and they normally do. This same conspiracy theory, and it's the same thing that they tried it in Rwanda, but they did not succeed. How do these Westerners, they operate? They come in the form of aid. We are coming to give you aid. We are coming to provide you security. We are coming to bring to you democracy. Whereby we all know that democracy is government for the people, by the people, government of the people, by the people, for the people. This is democracy. How can you leave your own country and you come in my own country and station military base there that you want to fight insurgency? You have been there for decades. Instead for insurgency, I'm talking here about France and the French and the Americans. The Americans, they had the largest United States base in Niger. And they came there that they want to fight insurgency. But during their time there, insurgency was easted in the rise. That is no doubt to tell you who they are and where their position was. Ibrahim Traore took over in a coup d'etat in 2022. And he has made that country to be the way it is today. And he's still working very, very hard. Why are these Western media against him? Because he's collaborating with people, with leaders around the world that the Westerners, they don't want. Or they considered terrorists. But the question I ask myself all the time, when America called somebody terrorist, who are the creators of this terrorism? The Westerners. Why? Because they support, when you go to Africa, you see that all the dictators are being supported by the West. You will see the Westerners, they will call all dictators in Africa, democratic leaders. They are not calling the democratic leaders for the sake of the people or for the goodness of the people. It's because of their own interests. Because those leaders, they normally allow them to loot their countries, to loot the countries of their resources. If you go now to many African countries, you see that French is there. Americans, they are there. Europe is there. United Kingdom is there. What are they doing there? How will you come to my country and you tell me you want to come and fight insurgency, but you are not doing anything? Insurgency, as you are there, insurgency is on the rise. Since you came there, insurgency is on the rise. What insurgency are you fighting then? Now, Ibrahim Traore is working for the goodness of his people. The French, they are doing everything to bring him down. They are doing everything to bring him down. The fact that he kicked the French out made that country to enter into the sanction list. So you see what the Westerners are doing. Please listen and listen very well. Listen and listen very well. What the Westerners are doing is this their conspiracy theory. And what is it all about? If you are not working in their own good, if you are not working in their own good, then they take you and put you in their sanction list. They will give you a certain sanction, economic sanction, financial sanction, or whatever type of sanction. They will just impose it on you. That is what these Westerners, the imperialists, they are using to rule the world. That is what the West is using to rule the world, to govern the world. How can some people just sit up and say that they are G8, they are G6, they are G7? How? Where on earth will you see countries in the United Nations? Few countries are permanent members with veto power. If I'm not mistaken, the United States, the United Kingdom, France, China, and Russia. Just 5 countries with veto power in the United Nations Security Council. Does it make sense? It doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense anymore. You call a spade a spade. Why is it that Western media are now attacking Ibrahim Traore of Burkina Faso? The answer is, please watch this video. Watch this video and I'll be back.
President Traore is under attack not from terrorists but from French and Western media. These media houses delight in spreading false information about President Traore with the aim of controlling the narrative about what the citizens of Burkina Faso think about Traore. Recently, a local Burkinabe journalist, who is also a staunch defender of the Sahel region, has revealed some of the lies that have been told about President Traore by the media houses. The depth of the lies is shocking and reveals the extent to which these people would go in order to remove Traore's administration from power. In this video, we are going to show you some of the lies spread by the media. First of all, let's start from the beginning. Burkina Faso and other countries in the Sahel region have been faced with severe insecurity and terrorism. For Mali, it has been almost 10 years, while for Burkina Faso, it has been 8 years. And in all these times, the Sahel countries have been dealing with the situation all by themselves. Not one African country, including their neighbors like Ghana or Nigeria, has offered to help. The insecurity has led to the death of thousands of people, with millions more displaced and uprooted from their homes. In addition to this, the economic situation has been amongst the poorest in Africa. Now, before the military came, France and the US were invited to help deal with the situation. France has the 8th largest military budget in the world and is ranked 9th out of 145 other countries that are ranked. The US has the strongest military in the world and even set up its most expensive base in Niger. Despite this, the insecurity did not reduce but increased. It got worse and worse each year. Clearly, these foreign forces were not doing anything. So, it's honestly baffling why these media houses would be biased in painting the military government of the Sahel as unfair for kicking out French and US forces. I mean, if you tried a particular way of doing something and it didn't work, doesn't it make sense to try another way? There is no doubt that if the US and France were in the same shoes as Burkina Faso, they would do the same. Now, kicking out these foreign forces and choosing to collaborate with countries that do not align with the West was the only sin committed by President Traore. This is why Western media, particularly French media, has targeted Traore. You see, Traore and the leaders of the Sahel humiliated France and caused a reduction in France's influence in Africa. Today, anti-French sentiments have spread. Chad and Senegal have kicked out French forces, and Francophone Africa is gradually slipping off the hands of France. And all this is all thanks to President Traore. French media has resorted to using misinformation to turn the hearts of Burkinabe citizens and Africans at large against Traore. This is despite all the things that Traore has accomplished in Burkina Faso. According to a local Burkinabe journalist, he uncovered a false X account from a French person claiming to be a reporter. This account was filled with false articles and publications regarding President Traore. None of the articles has any evidence or link to prove their verity. The account mocked Mali's leader Colonel Assimi Goïta and Captain Ibrahim Traore for always wearing military uniforms, which doesn't even make any sense because they are military officers. The account also posted some questionable articles in French propaganda. Many of them drew anger, but no one can be sure of how many people believed his posts. Currently, more and more of this kind of information has spread all over the internet. For instance, it was through one of these fake accounts that one of the so-called journalists revealed something that was true. The journalist who's engaged with Burkinabe citizens who've been posting disinformation about the leadership of Captain Traore has made a point to post proof of their misinformation. He wrote, "To all the soldiers mobilized for this coup, know that it failed. This means that God is giving you one last chance to leave the plotting leaders behind. They try to push you to the slaughterhouse by trying to force the impossible. If they want to mobilize you, soldiers, ask them to be at the head of the column, as IB did on September 30th as a good leader. But if they only give you money and weapons and rent furnished villas in Ouagadougou to put their family there while waiting for you to take power, while they go out to make speeches, I ask you to use this money to improve the living conditions of your families. Don't hesitate to go have a beer at the VIP in memory of their failure." In addition to this, some people are trying to convince the Burkinabe population that Captain Ibrahim Traore is stealing money from the country. But how does that even make sense? If Captain Traore was stealing public funds, wouldn't it be very obvious in the kind of car he drives or the clothes he wears? Instead, what we see is military equipment being upgraded and purchased. Interestingly, when Traore first started to upgrade the military, citizens were asked to donate old vehicles, even if they didn't work. The military needed them, the government would put in the work to fix them. After fixing the cars, they were painted camouflage and used for the soldiers' movements. After some time, military equipment was donated from a neighboring country, Ivory Coast. In addition to this, it is a well-known fact that Captain Traore takes no salary for interim president, the way his predecessor Paul-Henri Sandaogo Damiba had when he looted the funds of Burkina Faso. Damiba raised the salaries of others as well, an act which Traore reversed when in charge. However, it's not just creating false news. The media has also taken to painting a certain narrative about Traore's regime, condemning every one of his actions. For instance, when Traore set up the VDM, an auxiliary military force made entirely of Burkinabe civilians, this move was condemned and painted negatively by the media. It was seen as an authoritative move made by a dictator. The media said President Traore was taking civilians to be killed in the field. But isn't Traore's move similar to the American draft system, where civilians are also asked to register if needed to fight? These media have never mocked or condemned the United States for requiring the same thing Traore requires from Burkinabe citizens. Yet, during the Vietnam War, which the US was highly involved in, many saw the death of those soldiers in a war that they had no reason to be involved in. But what about Ukraine? All able-bodied men of a certain age were forced to remain in the country to fight. This is certainly not the case in Burkina Faso. Yet all the glory and admiration goes to Ukraine. All these are simply a confirmation of the double standard of the West. A crime is only called a crime if it was done by a certain group of people, like Africans, or those who stand against the interest of the West. Unfortunately, President Traore is not just an African. He is also someone who stands against the interest of the West. This is why he is being targeted. Western media has chosen to be deliberately blind to all that Traore has been doing in Burkina Faso. Traore has created opportunities for the youth of Burkina Faso, fostering the arts, music, film, and returning festivals and award programs to the country. He has created an alliance, the AES, where the former leader of Niger refused to work with Mali and Burkina Faso in the fight against terrorism. The truth is that when it comes to reporting news in Africa, the West is blatantly racist and xenophobic. Think about this. When soldiers were arrested for plotting a coup against Captain Traore, and Traore shut down media houses for posting misinformation about his leadership, the media termed it evil and suppression of human rights. But didn't the US recently shut down Russian media house RT for posting misinformation about the US? Did the Western media house condemn it or call it human rights abuse? The answer is no. For Western media, the US can do no wrong. This is hypocritical and evil, and this is why Traore is working on digitization in Burkina Faso. This is very important because it will help to combat the spread of misinformation and rampant corruption. The process has already started by allowing citizens to pay for driving violations through mobile means. This was aimed to cut down on corruption by the police force and to allot that the fines would be received by the country. These things and more are making much more progress than under the deposed president and former military head Paul-Henri Sandaogo Damiba. The French media has also taken to exposing news that fits only their narrative. Take, for instance, this article from Africa Report, a French media house titled Burkina Faso's Ibrahim Traore, a savior or a dictator? The article focused heavily on how Traore is working with Russia and has refused to hold elections. It reads, no longer talking about leaving his position, let alone organizing elections, Traore has firmly installed his junta and imposed his authority. This statement creates the narrative that Traore doesn't want to organize elections because he doesn't want to leave power, meaning that he is power hungry. But that is a lie. If Traore were power hungry, he would be behaving like those civilian African presidents who are only interested in their stomachs. A power-hungry leader would not be interested in spending huge amounts investing in the military, agriculture, or the transport sector of his country. To further cement this wicked narrative about Traore, that article published comments of a former officer and a former civil servant. The former civil servant said, from the very first weeks, we realized that he was a great manipulator. He told everyone what they wanted to hear. Then, when people finally understood, it was already too late. Now, anyone who has not been following the Traore situation carefully would be inclined to think badly of Traore with this statement. But we know better. From the beginning up till now, the citizens of Burkina Faso have majorly thrown their support behind Traore. Anyone who doesn't support Traore is simply on the opposite side that wants a return to the way things have been. It's obvious that this former civil servant is among those who have been affected by Traore's zero tolerance for corruption. Think about it. How is Traore a manipulator? Is he a manipulator because he didn't conduct elections? The fact is that the only thing these people are concerned about is the removal of President Traore from power. You see, Guinea and Gabon also experienced a coup, but none of these countries have returned back to civilian rule. But how many articles have called them dictators or manipulators? None. To these people, President Traore is a manipulator because he has refused to side with the West. It's as simple as that. Chad, for instance, experienced a coup, but guess what? Not only did France support the coup, but the media never wrote much about the coup in Chad. All these are evidence that the media is targeted against President Traore. The article also focused on how Traore dealt with those who did not listen to his commands, but the way they recounted created the narrative that Traore was taking revenge on them. This is crazy. The article listed one anonymous military source which might just be false. It reads, many senior officers don't understand him and have nothing but contempt for him. He pays them back well. His revenge is scathing. The article further reads, for these senior officers, obliged to stand to attention before a captain in his 30s and obey his orders, this has been a hard pill to swallow. Many would be delighted to see him fall, not least those close to Damiba, who have been overthrown by their subordinates, or the former Green Mambas of Lieutenant Colonel Emmanuel Zungrana, who have had their power removed. It then recounted what happened during the attempted coup in September last year. It says, at the end of September 2023, he was on the brink of being overthrown before the first anniversary of his own seizure of power. An attempted coup was foiled at the last minute, and several elite officers, including many from Special Forces and the Special Intervention Unit of the National Gendarmerie, were arrested. Another, Major Ismail Tuhogobu, was killed during an attempted arrest at his home in Ouagadougou. The article then painted Traore as someone who has been obsessed over his assassination. It says, Since then, he has been obsessed by possible plots against him and is convinced that everyone must be watched, even the most insignificant citizen who is even a little critical of him. It further added that, in the days that followed this attempted coup, Traore took drastic measures. Security was stepped up, armored vehicles were deployed, and traffic was banned at night. He shut himself away, becoming ever more paranoid. He regularly changes his place of residence. Now, as we said, if you were not a follower of Traore, there is no doubt that this article would convince you that Traore is a dictator. It's the same tactic that was used against Libya's Muammar Gaddafi and Burkina Faso's Thomas Sankara. Thomas Sankara and Blaise Compaoré were very close friends who worked together to take power in Burkina Faso in 1983. This coup, like that of Ibrahim Traore, was one of the more popularly supported coups in Burkina Faso. As we all know, Mr. Traore has brought many radical changes to Burkina Faso since he came to power. He was a phenomenal man, and above all, a man of integrity. I think everyone would agree that he did a very good job during his tenure in Burkina Faso. Thomas Sankara was one of the few African leaders to achieve food self-sufficiency in just a few years without the help of outside forces. Not only did he launch the most ambitious socio-economic transformation program ever attempted on the African continent, but he also rejected corruption and embraced austerity measures, unusual for an African leader. There is no doubt that if he had lived longer, Burkina Faso would have become one of the greatest African countries in the world. But those who did not want such independent leadership and creativity, free from dependency on the West, decided to remove Sankara. And who did they choose for this position? None other than his best friend, Blaise Compaoré. One cannot help but wonder why Blaise decided to betray his friend. Was he jealous of Sankara and wanted to take his place? Whatever the reason, Blaise, with the help of France, staged a coup that resulted in the assassination of Thomas Sankara. One of the reasons the coup was successful was that Mr. Sankara was accused of human rights violations and oppression of dissent. People believed these coup plotters because they saw Sankara banning trade unions and a free press. But what they failed to understand was that Sankara was doing the same thing as many revolutionary leaders before him. A leader who wants to bring about big changes must take certain actions that may seem bad to some, but are necessary to achieve his goal. Sankara banned trade unions, free press, and anything that could stand in the way of his plan to completely transform Burkina Faso. But some people seemed to forget about his plans and the great things he had done, and focused on what they perceived as human rights violations. This is why the coup was successful, and Blaise Compaoré replaced Sankara as head of state of Burkina Faso. He spent the next 27 years as president of Burkina Faso and destroyed everything Sankara had done. Of course, France praised him as a democratic head of state. Pathetic. However, despite all these allegations against Traore, Traore has remained resolute and focused on his vision for Burkina Faso. There is no doubt that as long as he has the support of the people, he will definitely prevail. What are your thoughts?
Guys, you have heard it all. So according to this Western propaganda media, houses, America can do no wrong. And the fact that Ibrahim Traore started collaborating with countries like Russia, North Korea, and co. They have also categorized Ibrahim Traore as a terrorist. But let's do a little memory lane. Who are the creators of terrorism? Let me ask this question again. Who are the creators of this? The creators of this? Who created the ISIS? The United States created the ISIS. The United States went to Vietnam War, a war that did not even concern them. They went to the Vietnam War. They have categorized themselves as the most powerful military in the world. They go to different countries, establish military bases there. What for? What for? How many of those countries have military bases in the United States? They go there, they establish military bases to monitor a lot of things. To be monitoring that country. If should in case there's any rise or somebody want to kick them out. But it's sad. The good thing there is Ibrahim Traore kicked them out, kicked the United States out, kicked the French out. And one good thing that I'm also happy about it is Senegal and Chad. They have told the French to leave with immediate effect. They have told the French to leave with immediate effect. All this neo-colonialism is what is making Africa stay in one and the same spot right up to this time after the claim after colonization. Africa is still not developed. Who are these people? Since the French, they were kicked out of Burkina Faso. Forbes now put Burkina Faso, have now placed Burkina Faso as one of the, as the fastest rising economy in the world. What does that tell you? What does that tell you? It tells you that the French are the destroyers of democracy. They are the destroyers of development in Africa. And this conspiracy theory that you will see, they will come and tell you they want to give you aid. That is what they are using. How can you be doing business? How can you be trading with another country? And instead for your own money to come to your own treasury or to your own Ministry of Finance, your own money will stay in the French treasury. And when the French, they want to give you that money, they will give you that money as aid. They will tell you, we are giving you aid. Aid how? How can you be giving my own money to me and you say you are giving me aid? That's, you are giving me aid, or you are giving it to me as a loan, my own money. How can you be giving my own money to me as a loan? Does it make sense? Of course not. That is just the conspiracy theory behind. The fact that the imperialists or the Westerners, they created this ideology of sanctioning, that is just to inhibit certain countries from even open their mouth to say, oh, this is for everybody to just be their puppets. Like how Europe has been the puppets of the United States. But I tell you something, the Sahel region is on the move. The Sahel region is on the move. And now we are getting information that Ghana is also kicking out the French and the United States to leave Ghana. So Africa is on the rise. One thing that pains me a lot is because America and NATO, they went and destroyed Libya. Up till today, because they wanted to kick out the ideas, the ideology of Muhammad Gaddafi. That is Libya today. And know that wheresoever the Americans they go, Americans are not going to somewhere to bring peace. Americans are going to somewhere to destroy. Look at what happened in Afghanistan. America took Afghanistan and gave it back to the Taliban. What happened in Iraq? Tony Blair and George Bush, they lied about weapons of mass destruction because they wanted to take away Saddam Hussein and collect the oil. And what happened now in Libya? They say all type of propaganda about Gaddafi just because they want to take him off and get their way to take what they wanted to take. Africa is on the rise and Africa should be on alert. So guys, the question that I would like to ask there is, do you think Burkina Faso, Niger, Mali, and now Senegal, Ghana, Chad, do you think they are on the right track? From my own point of view, I will say yes. What is your own point of view? Please, let's meet at this comment section and discuss this. And I plead with you, please, not just to watch this video and go. Share this video. Drop us a comment and also like the video. Give the video a thumbs up so that Facebook, TikTok, and YouTube, they will recommend the video out there. As you do so, may God bless you. Thank you so much and see you in the next video. Take care. Bye-bye.
Thank you all for watching this here video. video.